One specific kind of prayer that is not as intuitive as the kind that drives you to your knees because you know you need something now, and is sometimes very strange when people hear about it for the first time. And, well, how would you do that? Is to pray through a psalm, or to pray through some other passage of scripture, or sometimes people will point out that Luther talked about praying through the Catechism. Like he says in a letter he wrote to someone who asked him how to pray. This is called A Simple Way to Pray. You can find it online. He says that in his own experience, when his prayers begin to feel rote, that he's just going through the motions, and he's lost the joy and the interest in praying to some extent, that what he does is he goes back and prays through the Catechism. And this is easily misunderstood, right? Because when we think of the Catechism, we think of this little pamphlet that Luther wrote. And we're like, oh, Luther's going back and praying through his own stuff? Oh, how very humble of him. It's like, no, that's not what he meant. What we call the Small Catechism is really Luther's small commentary on the Catechism. The Catechism is properly speaking, the texts that Luther is commenting on, that he's asking questions and giving answers about in what we think of as Luther's Small Catechism. So the Ten Commandments, the Apostles' Creed, the Lord's Prayer. When he talks about praying through the Catechism, that's what he means. He means he is going through the Ten Commandments, he's going through the Apostles' Creed, he's going through the Lord's Prayer, and he is meditating on them in prayer and praying about them and to God based on them. And then with the second half of the Small Catechism, where he talks about baptism and confession and absolution and the Lord's Supper, there too, remember, there are verses for everything. He gives an answer, and then he says, where is this written? And he gives the verse. So those verses are the corresponding catechism, properly speaking, that if he was going to go on to the fourth, fifth, and chief part and sixth chief parts, he would be praying through those verses specifically.